Pardon me, because of want of time and some speakers have to catch the flight, we will be shifting a session of group practice now. So may I call on stage the moderator for session, Dr. Jaideep Date and Dr. Ketan Shukla for something about group practice and details of group practice.
Our first speaker will be Pradeep Rao, who has successfully managed kind of a group practice, and he's going to tell us about his. Sorry, Parimal. Parimal Garia. Oh, sorry. Parimal also in a very successful group practice, so he's going to tell us about the keys to group practice.
Thank you, MPVH, and thank you, Weston, for giving me the opportunity to talk about partnership firm and LLP. So, whenever you start a business of a medical profession, there are the business structures available are proprietorships, partnership firm, limited liability firms, or a private limited companies. And I would like to declare that we are three partners with a General Surgeon, Dr. Anurag Nema, me and Rishi, having a private limited company for running our own hospitals. And me and Dr. Rishi are in a partnership firm running our outside business. Outside the main hospital, everything goes to a partnership firm, and then the money is distributed, the finances are managed from that. All the professional expenses from occurring outside the hospital are divided from this partnership firm only, and then whatever the money is left, that is being distributed. So the partnership firms are the simplest form of to start business when you are more than one people that is involved. The partnership firm has an unlimited liabilities. Everything happening to a partnership firm, all the partners are responsible for everything that is happening. Even if that the other person is doing a financial mistakes or fraud and everything, ultimately it goes to a partnership firm and everyone is liable. So it is an highest financial risk. Or if something goes wrong in a partnership firm, your personal properties are also can be attached with this, and you have to pay the everything from your own properties also. So it's a highest financial risk. Whereas a limited liability, professor, before 2008, when the LLP Act comes, the only options for the business was to having a partnership firm, or you have to have a private limited firm. So what has happened is many people are going for a partnership firms because the business are everybody was afraid of private limited companies. So there was no avenue in between between a partnership firm and a private limited company. So government come with the limited liability companies, and it is a hybrid of corporation or a private limited company and partnership firms. It is only for those people who do not want to engage into a private limited company, and it has a benefit of limited liability. So you are liable for your portions of liabilities. You are not unlimited liabilities for this. Your personal thing, it has a separate identity. The partnership firm does not have a separate identity. You and your partnership firms are same. Whereas in limited liability companies, your limited liability company has a stand-alone business structure, just like a private limited company. So your personal assets are not included in LLP. So anything goes wrong with LLP, your personal income or your personal assets are safe. The registration process for partnership firm is very easy. Two people meet, declare a partnership deed, just notarize it, and registration is not compulsory. It is not compulsory. If you want to do it for a better management or the avoid future disputes, you can do register a partnership firm. That is not compulsory. Whereas in registration of LLP is just like a company. You have to have a formalities, and all formality has to be, and it has to be registered with Ministry of Corporate Affairs. So for partnership firm, now I want to the difference of these three is for the partnership firm registration is not mandatory. So it's a very beneficial. If you want to start just a business, most of the small builders are doing this. They make a firm, make a project. After the project is over, the partnership firm is dissolved. So no traces are left. Foreign national cannot be partner with any partnership firm. Whereas LLP or private limited, a foreign national can run, and the partnership firm has a maximum 100 partners. More than 100 partners are not allowed. Partnership firm can be any name, whereas an LLP or private limited has a fixed capacity that you have to add a LLP or a private limited company. As I said earlier, if the partnership does not have a separate business entity, whereas LLP and private limited is a separate entity, and it's a legal, everything is separate. Everything in a partnership firm is a joint ventures or joint assets. You can buy anything. You can buy land, you can buy a business, you can buy a hospital, but it is a common name. Whereas LLP and everything, it is independent from your business. What is the difference? The difference is between partnership firm, LLP and private limited is partnership firm has the least mandatory annual filings. It is just like you just filed an audit report. If you want, if there less money, you can even avoid that also. But in LLPs and private limited, this extensive work or a paperwork is compulsory. More as you go in LLP to private limited, the customary requirements are increasing by the way. And one of the main difference I want to highlight between these, all charts are available in all websites, but I want to highlight is that in private limited firms, your partnership deed is between you and your partner. Whereas in LLP, this partnership deed or an agreement that is called LLP agreement is not in public domain. Whereas in private limited company, my MOA, Memorandum of Association, or AOA, Article Association, my balance sheet, my earning, my everything is in public domain. Only by paying 100 rupees, I can access anything. If I want to see that what Bodyline Hospital is doing or what a Eurocool is doing, I just have to file 100 rupees scan, and everything is available on the website of a Ministry of Corporate Affairs. So, if you want to do a business between a known person or few people only, then an LLP is the best structure to go for, because you do not want to show everything on the public domain. You want to keep it in a closed affair. So dissolution of partnership firm is very easy. Two people meet, make an agreement, and then you can dissolve it. Perpetual succession. If there are two persons and any person dies or the changes, then partnership firm is dissolved. It doesn't stand. Whereas in LLP or a private limited company, there can be a succession plan that it can be transferred to a next generation. So if those who are making their children's parents, children's doctors, they can have this more structured program so that can enter perpetual succession is easy. And those who want to grow, those who want an external funding, those who want to have a venture capitalist or somebody taking over their hospitals or more big businesses, they have to go for private limited only. There is no scope of partnership being taken over by something. So if you are making a hospital in an associate firms, it is not the liability we already discussed that it is compulsory. The partnership, every partner is a manager. Where in LLP, you can have a designated partner who manages the thing. The rest of the things they are only partners, but they are not into day-to-day affairs. Whereas in private limited company, you have to have a board of directors, you have to have a you have to appoint a director, and they are running the business. They have to have a compulsory board meetings, compulsory statutory meetings, and it has to be done regularly. And then the most important part is now the tax. We are doing this most of the times to save the tax. So you are having multiple structures that you can save the tax at multiple times. So for the LLP and the partnership firm, the profit is taxed at 30%. Whereas in private limited company, it is 25% and is still reducing by few norms that you can avail the 22% or even a 15% tax if you are in a private limited company. The sales is different. The problem between partnership firm and LLP and the private limited company is double taxation. Just take a So the private limited company or partnership firm, the partnership firm or a LLP, partners can receive the compensation for their work. That is remuneration, that is salary, bonus, or the commission, or interest on a capital investment that is capped at 12%, and the share of the profit. Now what happens is, if you are earning more than 6 lakh profit, then you have to book a 60% book profit only. So what happens is, just for an example, a partnership firm is taxed at 30% flat, it avoids double taxation. Partner remuneration is taxable. Private limited company, the profit has to be distributed by other ways like dividend and everything. So you cannot keep a profit into the private limited company. If I keep a 1 crore of profit in my private limited company, it will be taxed at 25%. So the 75 lakhs only is left. Now at 75 lakhs rupees, if I give as a dividend, then it is again taxes at a dividend distribution tax to the company, and the person who is getting the dividend is almost at a 30% rate. So this is a double taxation that is happening with the private limited companies. Only advantage with private limited company is for the doctors is for other businesses that is not true. But for the doctors, we can avail a business fee, professional fees as good as other hospital. If I am working at MPUS or I am working in a Bombay in a private limited hospital, I get the paycheck from that. Same has happened to with my hospital. So in my hospital, I am getting a paycheck on my own name. So that is how the private limited can reduce the tax. Take an example of 1 crore rupees. If there is a 1 crore rupees profit, 60 lakhs as the 60% is distributed as a partner remuneration. This partner remuneration is taxed into the partner's personal account, so at a 30% rate. It will be around about 12% tax. Now what is left is 40 lakhs rupees. You cannot give a partner more than 60% as a partner remuneration after all the expenses are made. So now that 40% has to be paid tax. So what happened is, at 30% you have to pay a 12 lakhs rupees of tax. Now you are left with the 28 lakhs rupees that can be distributed to the partners, and that is not acceptable to that partners because it is a leftover profit. So now you get 14 lakhs rupees that is not taxable to a personal. So you are having a tax 34% compared to the 30%, and that is after expenses. The private limited, we already discussed that it is a first tax and then the dividend distribution tax, and then the dividend is taxed in the personal incomes. So take home method for the partnership firm. If you are working with the families, relatives, friends, or the close group of people whom you personally know, you can do a business as a partnership firm, where you are not bothered about liability. If you are working with your cousin, your spouse, or your good friend, you are not worried about the liabilities, take a route of partnership firm. It is easy to form and easy to dissolve. It has a very low compliance. Tax planning and ease of doing business is excellent. But keep in mind that this has a very limited growth potential. So for LLP, if you are in a growth minded, when you have a people who you do not know each other, or if you have 100 partners or 50 partners, out of that 50, 45 you do not know, in that case it is better to form an LLP because somebody else is doing a mistake and you are paying the prices. So for that, LLP is a better structure. It has a better growth potential than the partnership firm. And LLP and partnership firm, when you do not have a required external funding, like if you want to expand to 3 hospitals or 5 hospitals, or you have built a large corporate hospital and you wanted at some point of time that you will get a venture capitalist or somebody else to take up your business, and that case is LLP is not the structure which is good. It has to go to the private companies. Private limited companies has an innumerable, we already discussed everything. Thank you.
Yes, what you said is correct. If you want to expand and you want to get funds into your company, then you need to start with very limited, and then you can go public afterwards if you want. And number 2, we are discussing about saving all these sessions. It's very important for everybody to know that saving tax is not the only better way ahead. if you want to have buying power in your wallet, you need to have money in your banks. And if you want to have money in your banks, you need to pay tax and have that money there. It gives you buying power, power to take over other companies, other projects. That's what I wanted.
So that is what I am saying, that we had a private limited firms and we were getting the paycheck to reduce the tax liability of the private limited company. So what happens is the paychecks are increasing day by day. When your practice go, your paycheck increases. So you are getting everything in your personal accounts. Now your tax liability is increasing. Secondly, we and VCS combining visiting around about 26 hospitals. So there are 26 different paychecks. You have to combine every month, then distribute it among the two partners. That this 50% is goes to this. It is very difficult to manage the accounts. So what we do is we made a partnership firm. So what happens is everything outside my own hospital goes to that common fund, that is private partnership fund. All expenses like driver salaries, fuel charges, conference registration, conference travel, everything goes from that partnership firm, and what is left is the profit, and that profit we pay 30% flat tax, and whatever is left out, we distribute among ourselves, and that is added to our income, but in a tax-free slab. So that is how it is managed. And initial phases, it is not a problem, but when you are approaching a 1 crore of a profit, then that is the taxable at 30%, but on that 30% you have to give a 15% additional stamp. So the tax liabilities is increasing 35%. So it's a very elaborate tax structure, and we have to make sure that we make a maximum out of it.
It is 37%.
But if you want to progressive part, one has to be that.
Two people.
Even
Two people can manage LLP.
Yes.
More than one is enough. That is LLP is in between structure between a private limited company and a partnership firm.
Okay. Okay, now we would like to invite Dr. P.P. Rao for proprietorship.
Hi everyone. So when I started the group practice also, we thought about an LLP, we thought about private limited company, the original intention of a private limited company. That stage, private limited company was not a good thing because of the registrar of companies which you had report everything to, the real pain in India. But LLP now is also under the register of companies, so that also is not a great option. What we have settled on is a proprietorship where I am the proprietor and all the income comes to me and I distribute to my partners. This seems to be working well for us so far. Remember that there is no I in team. This is the most important thing. You have to subsume your ego. If you want to have an effective group partnership, you can't have egos. We have to all work together. We have position at 4 different hospitals in Mumbai, and they are spread out across the city and in the suburbs. And so far we are doing okay. Now my partnership is I think we are into the 12th year. We have been adding people as the time goes on. When does partnership work? I know about Parimal and Rishi's partnership firm. They are almost the same in age or maybe even the same batch. And in that, a proprietorship may not work so well. But this works when you have already established practice, which I had. I had a 15-year-old practice when my partners joined. They were necessarily 10, 15 years younger. Then the next lot of you have taken are 5 years younger than them. So we have a separation we have a hierarchy where there are people at different levels of seniority. That's where helps for taking on partners. So I feel, unlike what Rishi said yesterday, you were not here I think, but he said yesterday that you should have no difference in age. Partners should be of the same age. Actually, in my system, it's better to have a difference in age. Works better that way. And it needs one person to drive the entire unit. Somebody has to take ownership of this. Then it works. It doesn't work if there are too many bosses, too many cooks spoil the broth here. One person has to take control, drive it, and then the others work under him. Like I said again, it works with people who have the right partners of similar mindset, same school of thought. My first 2 partners were both MPUS grads, so I knew their thought process, treatment, everything is similar to mine and in ethics. You need a good team player, trustworthy. Can't emphasize that enough. Cohesive goals and aspiration, and you need to be transparent for remuneration and share. This has never been a problem so far. Remember that the group is your family. Your partners are your family. Your family issues are your family issues. All joys and sorrows are shared. We have no, it's just one extended family. You're all together. I actually know more about my partner's kids than I knew about my own. So, that is the advantage of having a partnership, right? Because I have so many partners, I can travel. They can travel. Everybody takes holidays when they want. Nobody has a fixed time that you have to be here. All you have to do is put in on our WhatsApp group that I'm going out for 3 days, fine. Somebody just picks up the slack. That's the thing which works best. We have some specialties. We have 2 people who do open recipient. We have 2 people doing endourology. We have somebody who does enucleation of prostates. We have somebody who does uro-oncology. That's how you can develop specialties, because they all do the same thing. I have not done a stone or a BPH for years now, because my junior partners do. So I am happy doing the other things. So this only works if you, of course it gives you huge cost saving. Now we have a system where we work in hospitals which are equipment, so we don't have to buy our own equipment. If we had to, it would have been shared across the group. And the teamwork helps, obviously, because you always have people stand by for everything which you may require. You can do complex things like robotic kidney transplant without breaking sweat, without needing any outside help. So this is very important. This is my entire group. We are stronger together as a group. Right now we have 5 of us. 6th person has just joined us a few months back, and the 7th is joining soon. And like I said, first me, the next 2 guys are around 15 years junior to me. Next 2 are 5 years junior to them. The next 2 we are taking our 5 years junior to them. So we have a good separation of 5 years. And the more urologists we have, the more services we can, the more hospitals we can serve, the more patients. One thing to emphasize here is that you may be getting a smaller size of the pie, but the pie is much, much, much bigger. So nobody ever suffers financially. Most important, like I said in my mornings, burnout is avoided because everybody gets ample holidays. There's no such thing. And the other thing I must say is, I don't have a written contract with anybody. Everything is word of mouth and shake hands. That's it. According to me, there is no contract which somebody will not break if he wants to. So any verbal contract is as good if the person has right mind. That is what works best. What is the take-home message here? Any relationship works only with mutually beneficial. This is the most important thing which most people forget while negotiating with an instrument company, the distributor, with anybody. The most important thing for the head of the unit is to put himself or herself in the shoes of his junior partner and ask, would I be happy with this done? As long as you take that into account, I think you will have an excellent group practice. Good group practice is one of the most rewarding things in your career. I'm happy to take questions. I kept it short in case anybody has any doubt. Yeah, so I already had an existing family when these guys joined me. They just joined me. And obviously I have to support for the first 2 years because it takes time to practice to build up. So everybody who has joined me has joined fresh out of graduation. Maybe like one of them did a fellowship, so 2 years after graduation. So they all started at basic minimum, which is as per the industry standard. And then every 6 months to a year I keep increasing. At a certain stage, they are way past the minimum. And then, depending on what comes in every month, we get a certain percentage increase. The only disadvantage in this against what Parimal showed is that you end up paying a double TDS. I end up paying it. So the money is coming in my name, TDS cut already, then I cut TDS when I'm paying for that. But the TDS is my money, so it doesn't really matter.
That does not matter because ultimately.
You don't have much time.
Yeah.
The real party.
No.
Pass that to the computer question. So we take that question later. So we can elaborate answer.
Yes, PP, it was very short and sweet. Are we going for this? Yeah, Rohan, on private limited companies.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Westzone USI to give me the opportunity. Well, most of the points have been covered by Parimal Garia sir, because he has elaborately told about the differences between the proprietorship, LLP and private limited company. So I have no disclosure, and the presentation is based on personal experiences while opening a gynecological hospital for my wife. So the objective of this presentation is to let us choose, since opening a hospital is opening a business and this is a service industry. So we should be knowing, and it is a business. So what is the ideal business structure, and understanding the pros and cons, which of course Dr. Parimal has said, and tailored advice for the medical practice settings. So there are 4 types of business firms. One is a proprietorship, that is a single person is the business. There is no difference between his personal income tax versus the business tax. So that is a proprietorship. Second in the ladder is the partnership firm, where 2 individuals will come together, have an agreement, and they'll start a business. Again, rising the ladder is the LLP, that is a limited liability partnership. Again, this is covered by the Companies Act. It is more elaborate. It is a different entity, a better structure than a partnership firm, and the highest of this ladder is the private limited company. Now, what is proprietorship? I'll just this. So, what is a private limited company? So, it is registered. It is a separate legal entity which will be registered under the Companies Act. Okay. Now, the shareholders will have a limited liability. So, suppose there are 4 partners. 4 partners are putting in 25% each. Suppose so. Each of the partner will have only 25% of liability of the company. So suppose if the company goes bankrupt, so every partner will have only 25% of the liability of, or 2 partners go away. They are absconding. So present person will have only 25% liability. And it is suitable for scalable businesses. As Dr. Parimal has said, if we want funding, if we want venture capitalists to invest in our company, it is the best because it is the most credible type of business available today. So, how to start a private limited company in India? For us, we don't have to do anything. It's a very minimal thing. You go to your CA's office and say, I want to open a private limited company. This is the name. Please check the name whether it is available or not. It has to be unique. Once the name is unique, and then everything has to be done by CA. It will take around 15 to 25,000 rupees. Within 7 to 15 days, your private limited company will be open. Okay. What is the eligibility? There should be minimum of 2 directors. So there are minimum 2 people. Again, one can be Indian, the other can be an NRI person also. So if you have relatives or somebody who wants to invest and open a company, you can do a private limited, but they cannot do LLP or partnership firm. The authorized capital minimum is 1 lakh. So you have to pay up 1 lakh in your current bank account to start a private limited company. There should be minimum 2 shareholders, and the registered office address should be within India. So it can be your home address or it can be your clinic address. Okay, so what are the documents required? Documents required are the same documents: PAN card, Aadhaar card, the photos and address proof of all the directors and the shareholders, the proof of address and the registered office. If it is a rented office, you should give a rent agreement, NOC, and the utility bill, that is the light bill, or in previous years it used to be the landline telephone bills also. So you have to apply for the digital signature again. This all has to be done by your CA. So CA is one of the most helpful persons when you are going to open a business structure, basically, be it LLP or be it a private limited company. So it should be, the name should be unique and it should end with private limited. So, but the branding can be different. So brand name is essentially different from your company name. So it does not mean if the company name is, for example, XYZ Private Limited, he can brand it as XYZ also. Also check the trademark availability, and it is very important from branding perspective. So the draft of MOA, that is Memorandum, and AOA article has to be done. Again, it is issued by Registrar of Companies, which will include your PAN and TAN. So once the DIN and DIN is opened, that is, your name is entered in the director list, that is director identification name, you can open as many companies as possible then. So you have to then open the company's bank account and start the operations. So there are some optional registrations also, like trademark registration, startup recognition, and MSME Udyam registration. Now, MSME Udyam registration is very important, since initially when the company is being opened, you will be under MSME, that is micro, small and medium enterprises. Now, if you have opened MSME and if you have the Udyam certificate, you will be able to apply loans under MSME. So MSME loans, since the government wants MSMEs to grow, because maximum of GST comes from the MSME. So government will give some subsidies to these MSME loans. So even if you do not have any collateral, there are some schemes like CGTMSE scheme where the government will give the collateral and you can raise loans and funding for your private limited company. So this is just an example. So my wife, Udyam certificate is given here. She has been practicing since 2015. So her Udyam certificate is there. And Udyam certificate can be done within 10 minutes at home. It is not a very big thing. So what are the medical practice needs? So we as a proprietor or a partnership or a company need a highest level of credibility, because whenever we are opening a hospital, like Chandramohan sir said, okay, we want to be big. We don't want to be a small hospital in a small town. We want urology खोला है, 10 years down the line subspecialty आने वाला है. I want to grow all my subspecialties. I want to bring in people. Since everybody is saying the small nursing homes are going to close down, so it's going to be an era of group practice. So group practice mein, this is the best kind of group practice where it is a private limited company. Everyone buys the shares depending on their capacity and the needs of the town or of the hospital, and then they can start planning their medical practice. Again, flexibility in ownership. Somebody wants 10%, somebody wants 20%, somebody is investing 50%. It is very easy. Compliance. Now everybody is saying compliance is highest. Yes, because now the government wants everything in white. Meetings. The CA will do the meetings. You don't have to meet 5 times every year. The CA will make the documents and audit your everything, taxation and everything. You have to just give your accountant tally entries to your CA, and the CA is going to do everything. As a clinician, you don't have to disturb your clinical practice because you have a private limited company. Secondly, continuity of practice. Succession planning is the easiest in private limited companies. Only thing is your shares are going to get transferred to your next generation. So comparison table already been shown by sir. Limited liability, the funding is easier and continuity is best. So private limited, again, advantages. One more advantage is you can give ESOPs to your employees. You have an employee which is 30 years with you. You want to give him something so that, like Chandramohan sir says, he is supporting the education. You can give ESOPs. You can give 2% of the company, 2% shares to the to your employee, so that when the company grows, your employee can also grow. That's not possible in other things. Secondly, finance, that is VC and scale. We all know the example of AINU. It has grown leaps and bounds in last 12-15 years. Why? Because it is a private limited company. If it was an LLP or a proprietorship, it would not have grown that big. With this, I'll close my talk, and the recommendation is, if you have a solo practice, start with proprietorship. If you have group practice of just 2 or 3 doctors, you can go for LLP. If you want, or your vision is big, start with a private limited when you are starting. Thank you so much.
Thank the speakers for this session and also the moderators. Now we